K25, welcome back. Cherry Blossom Festival, it's underway. We need some serenity now when it comes to the political atmosphere here in Canada. George Affleck joining us, former City of Vancouver councilor and president of Curve Communications. Yeah. What did you take on what went down this week? We've talked all about it. People know the story of the change-up in the Liberal caucus. What was your reaction?
Well, I mean, it was the most predictable thing that happened, which was Trudeau finally, getting rid of the two problem people in his cabinet and his caucus, and trying to move on this story. And there are many, and this would be such a polarizing issue. There would be many that said he should have done it earlier. There are many saying he shouldn't have done it. It's very interesting, and if you follow Twitter, you can sort of see that polarization happening every day, and you wonder, where is the center here? Where you've got so many people saying it's an outrage, some people trying to support him, and it's really quite an interesting process to watch.
Well, you work in the PR world, and you mentioned timing. So let's look at the timing of how this took place. If you were to advise the PM in this position, the timing of how long this took to make the decision, do you agree with it? Do you think he should have done it sooner?
Well, his arguments are that I was trying to be sensitive to the whole issue. It's always challenging, having been in politics and in communications. You in a caucus, in a cabinet kind of situation, you're dealing with revolt. Potentially, you need to have a team unified, especially going into an election. So I'm guessing he was really delaying a lot of the time, trying to figure out how does he keep control of his caucus going into an election. He needs a unified team, and his decision to finally do it, I think, was based on the fact that, okay, I think I have the support of the majority of the people behind me or within my team, because if he doesn't, then he'll have real trouble moving into an election.
Well, we talked about the importance of having differing opinions in caucus, and you make a move like this. What is the consequence of this for the Liberal caucus to share differing opinions now?
Being in a caucus is, behind the scenes, it's quite often quite chaotic. You're battling stuff, you have these fights about, whatever issue you might be dealing with. You don't always agree in a caucus, but when you leave the room and you go out into public, generally in a caucus, and people may love or hate this, but it's generally how it works, and this is certainly daylighted the fact that that we're seeing how caucuses work. You come out into public and you are unified, even if behind the scenes you were like battling it out on an issue. But in public, from a communications point of view, you come out unified with one message, and that's the message you sell to the electorate.
If we flip it to the other side for Jody Wilson-Raybould, given her honesty, people are praising her for integrity and for the courage to come up and speak for her own principles. What do you think is her best move, knowing that she stood up, she was removed from caucus, and what the future is politically for her now?
Well, I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of her decision and that whole process. I think that's been certainly talked about a lot. What happens now, from my point of view, is she's going to be very challenged in keeping her profile up. She's now an independent, sitting in the back area of the House. If she decides to run again, how does she keep her name in the media? We have 5 leaders of 5 parties, all vying for media's attention. You see, even on your own newscast today, the story is what, number 3 on the newscast. Time is a huge issue in a positive way for the Prime Minister. If time heals a little bit, where this story will slowly disappear unless it comes up in other ways, and she'll have a challenge having her voice heard, because she'll be up against machines of 5 political parties vying for media's attention. It's going to be very difficult for her to keep any attention in the media, and in her riding she might be fine, she could win, but in her riding, if she runs as an independent, she'll be up against potentially a star Liberal, a star NDP, maybe a star Green candidate, and a star Conservative candidate. So you've got a lot of people sort of left and centre left there, and you've got potentially one Conservative. So I would say in the riding that she's in, it's a swing riding, so it's gone Conservative in the past, that it could easily, this left and centre left could split, and the Conservatives could win that riding because of the whole mixture of people running against that potential Conservative candidate if they get a star in there.
Well, there's a big opportunity now for that riding, who the Liberals could nominate in that place. If that nomination came your way, would you run?
Ottawa's cold in the winter here, so I think as a Vancouver, I don't know if I can handle that.
So if you got a warm jacket, would you run?
No, I think I'm good staying in Vancouver.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay. very, very diplomatic on that answer right there. It's going to be interesting. We're going to follow this story. George, appreciate your insight as always. Are you going to run?
You can keep asking the question.
I'm going to keep asking this. That's my job here.
It's a journalistic technique. I know.
All right, we'll take a break.